This morning on KRIM's Community Spotlight, going to be talking about Green Valley Water. And as a matter of fact, we've got a lot of good things to talk about this morning. And I'm kind of excited about some of the details that we were just going over before the show. With me in the studio, Garrett Goldman from Green Valley Water, along with David Lowry. David's the GIS analyst, and that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. First of all, thanks to both of you for coming down and being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Now, one of the things that I've just never really thought much about prior to talking to you guys is the actual sewer infrastructure all around Payson. How many miles of pipe roughly are we talking about?
We're approaching 200 miles.
200 miles of pipe just in Payson.
Yep, in the ground, and that's a combination of gravity sewer, low pressure sewer, force mains, and reclaimed water lines.
Wow, that's a bunch. And of course, keeping track of where everything is underground in the system, because you have a lot of different kinds of assets underground, right?
Yeah, well, pretty much the whole collection system's underground, so
Right.
it's out of sight, out of mind, right? You
Right.
don't even realize it's there.
Until there's a problem, and then it's in everybody's mind.
That is true.
So now you've put in a GIS system here that just a few years ago. How long ago was this?
3 years ago. Yeah.
And GIS, for people that aren't aware of that, stands for?
Geographical Information Systems. So it's basically mapping on steroids,
Right.
smart mapping.
And one of the things that I noticed you were showing me, you all have even apps right on your phone that'll show you where different things are, including all of the manholes around town. And I mean, there's I never even stopped to think about it, I guess, David. But I mean, there's a bunch of manholes all over Payson for 200 miles of line.
There are. And there's even manholes that we've discovered didn't even exist before. Our guys have located them while they're looking for other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's another great part about this GIS system and this inspection system is, like Garrett said, finding out what we have, because some of it we don't even know.
Well, and it's the initial original sewer lines in Payson here, how far back does that date?
Those plans were from the early 70s, right? The original town site?
1971.
Yep.
And so from about 1971 to 1975, the original collection system was put in.
Right. And now this GIS system, and just one of the things that I thought was pretty interesting, Garrett was just showing me the app on his phone. You've got the entire town mapped with all of the manhole covers, but then you can zoom in, hit the manhole cover, and then you have a bunch of other information that comes up too. What all are you keeping track of with this system?
You know, a lot of it is, we're talking about not only the location, but the condition of the manhole.
Mm-hmm.
And so we actually have our field guys use iPads, tablets, and it's a little bit easier to see in their phone, but they're able to take pictures of the manhole and within the manhole too. And so we can, inside the office, without even having to go out in the field, we can see the condition of the inside of the manhole and decide whether we need to do something to fix something or if everything's good. But we're keeping track of the pipes that go in and out of it. A lot of times on our old cartoon maps that were drawn by hand, we didn't even know the directions of the pipes that come in, whether maybe there were 3 instead of 2. So we keep track of the pipes, the sizes of the pipes. And we're going to be keeping track of like the age, when it was installed, and things like that. And so that will also be able to give us an idea of when we can anticipate needing to work on something as it wears out.
Right, and one of the other assets that you have are these lift stations, because of course it would be wonderful if we lived in an ideal setting where everything just rolled downhill, but with all the hills around here, that creates some challenges for getting everything to move to the end of the pipe, so to speak.
Yes, it does. Everything does roll downhill, but unfortunately downhill is not always to the treatment plant.
Right.
So we have 14 lift stations, and you'll see these as you're out driving around. We have signage on each one of them. And basically they're at the low points, and so we're pumping the sewage flow back up over the hill to where it can flow gravity to our treatment plant.
Now, are these like a hydraulic pump, or are they like a screw pump, or what kind of?
They're a centrifugal pump,
Right.
so much like a well pump, a little bit different configuration than
Right.
that, with electric motors on them.
Interesting. And now this, the GIS system itself, how long has this been around in Payson?
Well, GIS, for us, it's been about 3 years.
Right.
GIS itself has been around, it started 70s or 80s, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in Payson, law enforcement's been using it for a while, as
For-
far as
for
addressing,
mapping,
yeah,
yes.
mapping.
Right.
So
Makes sense.
But as far as utilities, we're just now getting into that.
And as it pertains to the sewer system here, what kinds of other information are going into this system, or are you tracking with this?
Well, we're tracking inspections. We're also tracking wherever we have customer concerns, so we can see it on a map. If we have a cluster of customer concerns happening, we know that something is going wrong in that area, and we can put extra effort in those areas. It goes down to communication with the front office staff, so that our field crews they're filling out their portion of their customer concerns, specifically on the iPad. Immediately that's uploaded, and the office can see that also.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're talking to a customer, they can say, well, our crew was out here, this is what they saw here, the pictures of it.
Right.
So it really increases that interdepartmental efficiencies and communication within the operation.
And so how long did it take to actually implement this system where because obviously there's got to be a heck of a lot of data input, to get it up and usable. When did it start? How long did it take to get it to where it's at today?
Well, we started in, 3 years ago, just getting into it. It took about 6 months before we had a workable map that we could deploy out in the field. And then as far as updating that map, that is going to continue in, foreseeable future, but it'll never be completely done.
So
Because
in perpetuity then, right?
Yep, you're always going to be finding new stuff. And then once we do go through and we inspect all of our manholes and our pipes, it's time to start back over, because
You have to do that routinely, right?
yes, the stuff wears out. You'll find new defects, and we're really trying to be proactive in how we're managing the collection system.
Now, is this something that all communities have?
No, actually, you'd be surprised, but very few have it. So here we are in Payson, and we're getting national attention.
Well, that's where I kind of wanted to go next, because the treatment plant itself, which I think is a fascinating place. I know you've been providing tours for anyone that's interested out there, and it really is a pretty fascinating thing to see how it all works. But that's a state-of-the-art plant that really put Payson on the map, as far as that was something that a lot of other communities did not have.
When our current plant was upgraded in 1983 to the current technologies that we use, we were only the second plant in the United States that used that.
Second in the whole U.S. Wow.
Yes. And, obviously there's been a lot of upgrades since 1983, but we're still on that cutting edge with what we do.
And it amazed me. I know last time that we had you in here, you and I don't recall the exact number, but I know I was astounded from the time sewage enters the plant until the reusable effluent, leaves and goes into Green Valley Lake. About how long is that?
About 24 hours.
That's so many jokes that come out. We'd only get the crud out of here that quickly. That's pretty amazing. And again, this is still fairly state of the art as far as, there's still not that many communities that are doing this type of technology.
Well, the actual treatment kind of technology, pretty much every treatment plant in the United States uses some form of it. One unique thing that we do here is we do biological phosphorus removal.
Right.
So we're actually removing phosphorus from the flow, So when it goes back up to Green Valley Lake, excuse me, that we don't have algae problems, or we can at least minimize the algae problems. We do that with no chemicals. Now that is very unique, at least in the United States.
It's all a biological process.
It's completely biological. We're using bacteria to do the entire treatment process, and that includes not just cleaning the water, but we're taking nitrogen out of the water, and we're taking phosphorus out of the water.
You know, it's kind of, just on a side note, but there's, a lot of different aspects to this, in that in this day and age where, many of us are taking various medications and stuff, and or, maybe we get done taking medications, we just dump what's left over down the toilet or whatever. I mean, those different chemicals like that have got to be a challenge for y'all, I would think.
Those are, yes, they're increasing in challenges. The EPA is actually looking at those because they are pass-throughs through our treatment process right now. And we can anticipate in the years to come that there's actually going to be limits put on pharmaceuticals.
I bet, that makes sense. Now, when it comes to the GIS system, just getting all of the input, data input, obviously, as we were talking, has to be a challenge. And Chris, what percentage of the plant, the overall system in Payson, is currently mapped with this?
By the looks of our map, it's approaching the halfway mark.
Wow.
Yeah.
So still a ways to go.
It is. It is.
And when do you anticipate having 100% mapped?
I don't know if we've actually set a date to that. Right now, our GIS system is being transformed to being housed in our office. Now it's going to be housed in the cloud. And this is going to provide a lot of advantages for us. One is our infrastructure doesn't allow us to upload information quickly from our offices. And now it'll be out, on the internet, but our guys access information through cell phone signal. And we've eliminated that slow link out of our office. So we're anticipating things like that are going to speed things up, and once we get this move all completed, and we've had some new hires too, and I think we're getting more help now. I don't know. If it's been 2 years for half, I would say think like another year.
Another year to 2 years
Yeah,
before we get through it.
And then there's still just going to be routine informational updates and stuff like that. So I mean, this is going to be quite a tool to use. I would assume that your crews that are out taking care of any problems that occur in the system, this has got to be a great tool for them to be able to have right along with them, so they kind of know what they're getting into before they get there.
Correct. Like Garrett had pointed out before, before they leave the plant, they know what pieces and parts to take with them, because they look at the map, they can see what sizes they're working with, they can see what materials they're working with, and you're right, it does really help. Rather than making multiple trips, it's kind of like only making one trip to Home Depot for your home improvement,
Which is
instead of 40.
a really good thing to
Yeah.
do. When it comes to these lift stations that we were talking about earlier, to keep everything moving up and over hills and down to the plant, how many of those are there in Payson?
We have 14 of them in our system.
14.
Yep.
And I know coming up here, the end of this week, you're going to be cutting the ribbon on a new one. That's actually just replacing an older one, right?
Yes, the Chaparral Pines lift station number 3, which is the main lift station that it lifts the sewage from that whole east side basin, we call it, which is basically the Tyler Parkway corridor.
Right.
We just completed that project, and we're going to be basically dedicating it on Friday.
That's a lot of lift. When you look at, you're going downhill quite a ways before you get to Chat Pines and that type of thing, and to come up over that hill so it can come down to the plant here on the west side of Payson. This is not a small pump.
No, these are 70 horsepower motors.
70. Wow.
They pump about 11 to 1,200 gallons a minute.
That's
So
amazing.
there's a lot of flow.
Yeah. And so now, as far as you mentioned that it looks like it's going to be about another year before it gets all the data gets completely input. Chris, what are there certain areas of town that haven't been done yet, or is it just getting mapped as people are working on different projects?
It does seem to be certain areas, the older parts of town is kind of hard to get to. One thing we've found that sewer in easements has not been good, especially if it's been there for a while. People tend to build over it, and it makes it very difficult for the guys to get in there and examine, or sometimes even find the manholes.
Well, I know with the water department here, we've had stories in the past of a long time ago, there was very few, matter of fact, really mainly only just one person that kind of knew where some of the water lines ran and stuff like that. Was that true with the sewer system as well?
We have our guy that we go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have Bob.
Yep.
And
We
if you
asked
want to
him.
know what's going on in the system and when it was last worked on, we asked Bob. That is one of the reasons that we're getting into the GIS system too, so that we're not relying on just one person, that we can get all that information out of Bob's head.
Right.
He's been there for 36 or 37 years.
You must be talking about Bob Depew.
Yeah, that we are. Yeah, and those of you that know him, Bob's a great guy.
Yeah, he is.
But to be able to make this information available to all of our crews, it's really important.
And of course, Payson is, when I first moved here about 40 years ago, we had 5,000 people living here, and now we have 16,000. I mean, there's been a lot of changes, and I would assume that also requires a lot more demand on all the underground infrastructure here. So this has been an ongoing challenge for a long time.
Yeah, it has, and it's going to continue as new developments happen. We're continually seeing our system expand to serve those new developments, and so being able to catalog it and keep track of it, and then so that we know that we can maintain it into the future is really important.
Now, is the underground sewer infrastructure, you mentioned something about the size of the lines and stuff like that. So there's different size pipes in different areas?
The pipes start out, so most residential connections will be 4-inch pipes. That's what comes out of your house.
Right.
And then once it gets into the street, it goes anywhere from 6 inches up to 36 inches in diameter.
Wow, that's quite a vast difference. So the main lines now, and I'm asking this out of complete ignorance, but are the main lines all about the same size?
No, they go from 6 inches to 36 inches, just depending on where you
Even
are.
the 6-inch lines are really kind of a main line.
Yeah, they are.
Wow.
We have a lot of 6-inch line in the street that we have to maintain, and as you go down the collection system, you get closer to the plant, the lines get bigger.
So we're talking bottom line today with the folks from the land at the end of the pipe. And now, when it comes to everything that has gone on over the years, I'm amazed that Payson has really been on the map as far as the treatment plant, and we've talked about that before. That's the plant itself. When that was first installed, and we were talking just before the show, that was one of how many in the U.S.?
Two
In the entire United States.
Right.
And but now with this GIS mapping tool and everything, is that something else that's kind of new to the sewer companies and that kind of thing?
Yeah, as it turns out, for wastewater it is. They have been very popular with electric and communications, and then water seems to be the next most popular. Apparently there's not very many wastewater systems that use it. So we are kind of on the cutting edge of that too.
Yeah, in fact, we're going to be going to a national conference here at the end of October and doing a presentation on how we're implementing GIS into our workflows in our operation. And, from a small town, you don't have to be a big metropolitan area to do this. And the benefits of your customers will realize from this on being able to actually maintain what you have, they're just enormous.
Makes sense. Now, one of the other things, 'cause I know we're running low on time here, but one of the other things we want to talk about a little bit is that Green Valley Water is upgrading the online payment system.
Yes.
Now, what's going on with that?
Well, we are upgrading our billing software.
Mhm.
And as a portion of that, we are going to be upgrading our online portal, our customer portal, so that our customers have a better experience. You'll be able to make changes to your profile when you're on your portal or you're signed into it. You'll be able to see your full billing history.
Wow.
It's just going to be a more interactive, more information for our customers to be able to maintain their accounts.
You're really keeping state of the art on every aspect of Green Valley Water these days.
We are trying to.
Outstanding. Now, one of the things that I mentioned early on in this hour is that Green Valley Water offers tours out there at the plant, and you can get details on their new website at greenvalleywater.org. But I have to say, I was really very intrigued when I came out and again, Garrett, you gave Chris and I a tour of the plant here. I'd been out there, quite a number of years ago, but it's fascinating to just see how that whole plant works and how you can, in 24 hours, go from raw sewage to nice, clean water that's heading off to Green Valley Lake. That's a pretty astounding bunch of chemistry going on there.
It is an amazing process, and I invite everybody, come on out. You can sign up on our website. If the dates on the website don't work, call the office. We will make accommodations.
And that also is at greenvalleywater.org?
greenvalleywater.org.
I think it's fascinating. The one thing that I think I appreciated significantly there was that the old sludge beds aren't being used anymore. And I know I go out to that road out to towards the Manizels on a routine basis, and that used to be a great exercise in holding your breath for a little bit as you went by. But you're not really using the sludge beds anymore.
Nope, we've upgraded our technology, so the sludge that we do take out of the plant now, we actually process it, dry it in-house, and then we take it up to waste management. So we don't have the aromatic experience along Dalbaby Ranch Road anymore.
Good stuff. It's amazing technology. I think many of us can think, well, hey, Payson here, we're just down the road from Podunk or something like that. But that's a state-of-the-art technology that almost all other communities don't have. So it's really something to be proud of.
Yeah, we are very proud of it, and we look forward to being able to show it off to people.
And again, you can find out more by going online to greenvalleywater.org. And if you have questions, is there a phone number that people can call and talk to somebody out there?
Yeah, you can get a hold of our main office. It's 474-5257.
Outstanding. Okay, we've been talking again with Chris and Garrett this morning. Really, well, there we go. Went to the wrong page suddenly. The bottom line here is that actually we're talking with David Lowry and Garrett Goldman from Green Valley Water. I'm paging through my phone as we speak. The technology in Payson is astounding. I always was amazed at the plant, but now the pipe infrastructure and everything you have going there. There's a whole bunch of technology there too that's all state of the art, and people take for granted, I guess, because you don't see it, it's underground. But you guys really address the bottom line in a very good way.
Well, thank you.
You bet. Keep up the good work, by the way. When we have to get you back to more of your favorite music, have some tunes coming up from Bryan Adams, the Commodores, Prince, the Beatles, and more. But first, a quick look at Rim Country weather.
KRIM weather forecast for Payson and surrounding areas.
I was going back and forth between what I had written on here and then what that email that we got from you, and I'm like, hold it, wait a second, who's Chris?
I've been called worse. So.
Take a number and stand on that. Well, did we cover everything that you wanted?
No, you did. That was good.
Okay.
That was very good.
And I will make sure I'll just stick around in town. Normally, when I get off the air here, I head back down to Tonto Basin, but I'll stick around and grab myself some lunch and then head over there on Friday and look forward to seeing that pump. That ought to be interesting.
Look forward to seeing you there. I'll give you a tour, show you what it's all about.
Cool. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Talk about state of the art.
Good to see you again. What's that?
Let's talk about state of the art. That's
Really?
the station.
And that was one of the things too when you mentioned that from where it's at and then coming all the way up over that hill. I mean, I knew it had to be a pretty significant pump, but when you start talking what horsepower was that you're talking
70 horsepower motors.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot more than your typical lawnmower. That's for sure.
Oh yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it has to go a long way.
I hear you. Well, anything else we can do to help? Just holler.
Okay, we appreciate it.
My pleasure.
You guys have a good day.
Always
You as well,
fascinating.
And I'll make sure we RSVP with Rhonda.
Okay.
She asked us about that, so I was gonna check with you this morning.
Yeah, I'll plan on sticking around. Cool.
All right.
You guys, it's okay to bring a video camera for that?
Oh, yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah, we'll make it work.
All right, good.
Thanks. Have a good day. You too, take it easy.
Yeah, she said that we need to go there, but, yeah, cool, I think that'll work for you. Yeah, maybe that's the last, I want to try and get them a sponsored sport, season, but as far as their,
just shuts off.
It just, yeah, and then halfway through the first half hour.
I wonder, now, that one time you did, remember, let me get out of here.
That's right,
The-
I didn't
the
hit